Jude the Obscure was written by Thomas Hardy in 1895. The story takes place in Wessex, England, in various villages and towns including Marygreen and Christminster, which serves as a fake name for Oxford. The main character, Jude, is a stonemason who is also an autodidact. With some assistance from his old schoolmaster Phillotson, Jude teaches himself Greek and Latin so he can study the classics at Christminster. Jude's quest for education fits the time period. The Victorian era saw a push for education and compulsory schooling. Arabella Dawn is Jude's first wife and reoccurring problem. She tricks Jude into marrying her by faking a pregnancy scare in order to have a good husband who will take care of her. Arabella fits the time period due to the status of women in the 19th century. Middle-class women were still thought of to be restricted to the domestic world. The only way she could ensure her future was through her forced marriage to Jude. Sue Bridehead, a free thinker as well as Jude's cousin and love interest, did not convey the time period she lived in. Although the Victorian period was one of many liberal reforms, socially it was very constricting and rigid. Sue had very open and different feelings on marriage and love, which could have been unusual and looked down upon for the time period. As with many novels, Thomas Hardy laced Jude the Obscure with bits from his background and personal life. He and Jude both share the same roots. Both are from southwest England, a place Hardy named Wessex, and Jude's father was the local mason in Marygreen, just like how Hardy's father was the local mason of his village. Hardy went on to study architecture and became an architect while Jude followed the path of a stonemason. Despite this difference, Hardy helped with the building of a church while Jude helped the building of a set of 10 Commandments inside a church in the novel. The part of the novel that pertains to Hardy's life the most is the discussion of marriage. Jude gets divorced and remarried, something considered taboo for the time. For a while, he even has the audacity to live with another woman while still married. Once Jude remarries Arabella and passes away, he wishes he died at birth instead of living the life of suffering that he did. This is a precursor for Hardy and his marriage. Jude the Obscure was a very taboo and controversial novel that many people considered to be vulgar and inappropriate. Hardy's wife was one of these people, and this negative reaction caused him to never publish a novel again. He did release some poetry which was very dark and reflected his depressing life. One of the novel's most important scenes is the first meetup between Jude and Arabella. Unfortunately, the Hollywood version of this film decides to take a slightly different approach from the actual novel.
My child, why do you weep?
Poet.
Thank you very much.
The novel shows Arabella throwing a pig's penis at Jude to get his attention. The film version decided to cop out and use a pig's heart instead. Although it seems like a subtle change, the pig's penis was specifically chosen to foreshadow how terrible Arabella will treat Jude in the future. One of the most climactic scenes to both the novel and the film include the untimely death of all 3 of Jude's children. The scene depicts Jude and Arabella's son, Little Father Time, committing suicide after murdering his step-siblings. He leaves a suicide note saying, "Because we are too many," which was spelt wrong. This event signifies that Jude and Sue had trouble making ends meet, as well as Arabella's tight grasp over Jude's happiness with Sue. This is a big turning point in the novel, because Sue then believes that God is punishing her for having children out of wedlock with Jude, and she becomes very distant towards him afterwards. Many people would consider Thomas Hardy's novel to be a classic. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a classic is defined as something used to say that something has become considered one of the best of its kind. When Jude the Obscure was first published, it was so negatively criticized that Hardy never wrote another book again. It criticized some of the most endeared British customs and institutions such as marriage, higher education, and social classes. This is why it's a classic. It pushed the boundaries of current literature and helped pave the way toward freedom of expression in literature and beyond.